with the 9th pick in the 20.
There you go. Fano. I'm happy he's off the board. Not because I think he's bad, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that.
Again, if you think he can play tackle, I have some concerns, right? But concerns don't automatically mean that he's not going to be good or capable. It just means that the concern is there. The length, he's 32. I think at his pro day he measured 32 and 7/8, but at the not the Senior Bowl, but when he first measured at the combine, he was at 32 and 1/8 inch. So you got to figure out what went wrong with that measurement. The truth is, though, there is a threshold for Pro Bowl and All Pro tackles over the last 5 years. All of them have had 33-inch arms. He's underneath that threshold. He's a great athlete if he can make up for it. Great feet if he can make up for it. He might be fine there. And that might end up being something where you get like a Rashawn Slater type thing. Remember, they thought Rashawn Slater had too small arms to be successful at the NFL level. But you can't deny that he's a great athlete, a fantastic player, great tape. Worst case scenario with him, he struggles at tackle, you move him to guard. This is the Will Campbell of this draft class, right? If we were able to do like, hey, this guy's a tackle prospect, but I love him at a different position. He's the Will Campbell of it. And maybe that's what they went with at the end of the day. Their evaluation was, hey, let's just focus on getting a good player here.
So we're getting...
Hey, let me talk to you about my sponsor for this year, PrizePicks. It's a fun way to win cash while you're watching your favorite teams. Forget complex betting rules. Their app is designed to be incredibly easy to use. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. Speaking of, here are my picks for this upcoming NFL season. They have Myles Garrett at 14 sacks here. I think he will get more than 14 sacks. Joe Burrow at 3,875 passing yards. I think he'll be a 4,000-yard passer. I'm going to go with more. They have Derrick Henry at 1,224 yards. I'm going to go less than that. Check to see if PrizePicks is available in your state. You can follow me on the app at KWEN_C to see all of my lineups. Download the PrizePicks app today. Play $5 and get $50 in lineups when you download the app using the link in the description. All right, so the Cleveland Browns did two things today so far in the draft. They traded back, and then they also made a selection at 9. Let's talk about the trade back first. Browns make a deal with the Chiefs. They move back from 6 to 9. They pick up a 5th-round pick. I think they got 141. I think they got like 3 5th-round picks now. They got it. Those are going to turn into trade-ups in day 2 and maybe even today. No doubt about it. I don't think they're going to make 3 picks in the 5th round. And then they got an extra 3rd-round pick from the Chiefs to move down 3 spots. If they valued Spencer Fano, who they ended up taking, at that spot, then that makes sense, right? Get a little extra value and get Spencer Fano on top of it. So first thoughts about the trade back. Doesn't bug me. The trade back doesn't bug me. I know some people off principle hate trade backs, but to me, the trade back, I am absolutely okay with the trade back. They get Spencer Fano. Now, this is one where I'm a little bit more up and down on, right? If you saw my reaction, which I'm going to probably put when I upload this to YouTube, my reaction to it, I called him kind of the Will Campbell of this class. This is a guy who you watch his tape, he kicks some ass at the tackle position at Utah. Coming into the season, he was one of the top tackle prospects. And then the year just didn't go the way that they anticipated it going for him to kind of maintain where he was in the pre-draft. Oh, not pre-draft, but preseason before this college football year. So he had a little bit of a step back. You could go watch his battle against David Bailey. Shout out to Botch Lombardi. He broke that one down. There's some wins there against David. There's some losses there against David. The big concerns with Spencer Fano is he a tackle at the end of the day? And that's what makes him the Will Campbell of this draft class. Great player, kicked ass in college. Is he a tackle, though? Right? He has short arms. That's the first thing that will come up when you're trying to talk about him being a tackle and him making that transition in the NFL. Over the last 5 years, if you look at all the tackles who have made a all-pro team, and forgive me if I'm veering off to the side, I'm also trying to pay attention to the Cavs game. But if you look at tackles who have made a all-pro team, they all have 33-inch arms or longer. Spencer Fano, depending on which measurement you believe, right? Either he's a whole inch under it, 32 1/8, which is a concern. That's what he measured in at the combine. At his pro day, he measured in at 32 7/8. Now, it's possible there could have been a mistake at the combine and they didn't measure him properly and they got a proper measurement at the pro day. If that's the case, then his arm length matters to me less. Apparently to the Browns, who are, we'll see what they say in the press conference, likely going to play him at tackle, that has to be the case for them, right? So that's the first thing with the Spencer Fano thing. Can he play tackle? The arm length is the big concern. 33 inches is the cutoff, right, for tackle. It's the threshold for tackle. And depending on which measurement is right, he's either almost a full inch under it or just a eighth of an inch under, which is less of a big deal. He's a great athlete. You look at his combine testing stuff, I think he ran sub 540. He had a great 10 split. His feet are great athletic mover. Somebody who can, if it doesn't work out for him at tackle, he can slide down the line of scrimmage, no doubt, and play all 5 positions if you wanted him to, right? Baltimore was really high on him. They were talking about moving him to center potentially. So this is a guy who is going to end up on your offensive line, and he's probably going to be a pretty good player to a great player. The big question is where he's going to be. Is he going to be the long-term replacement for Joe Bitonio and end up being your future left guard, or is he somebody who can hold down the left tackle position? This, to me, feels like the safest pick the Browns could have made at offensive line. I think maybe you could have shot a little higher, went with somebody more of a prototypical build like a Monroe Freeling, who I think has a little bit better upside too because of that prototypical build that he has, right? It just allows him more leeway. Notable here too, the Browns also passed up Francis Mauigoa. Right now, that's something that's a developing thing in this draft. Mauigoa has been slid all the way to 10, where the Giants are. That's probably due to that back, right? We talked about that kind of changing how I felt. In my dream mock draft, I had the Browns going with Mauigoa, but after I uploaded that, the news about his back comes out. And that kind of changes the picture on Mauigoa, right? I think in that article, there's a GM that says he could miss the entire 2026 season, but it's not that big of a deal, which I don't know. I think it's kind of a big deal, right? So Mauigoa, the back thing kind of scared them off of him. You've heard a lot of noise about Fano. I think a lot of people are just happy that it's not Caden Proctor. Which, fair, right? Absolutely fair to be happy that it's just not Caden Proctor at this point. Because that was what people were that was the scary thing that people were throwing out there, is that the Browns might go Caden Proctor here. I do think it's interesting, Fano, again, where does he play on the offensive line? Where does he end up? But if you think about it, you were able to get that 3rd round pick, an extra 5th. Let's see what that turns into, because those are extra things in the bag that the Browns could use to maybe move up from 24 or move up in day 2. Or it might turn into a great player. We might say, hey, Spencer Fano plus this guy, that's so much better for this team long term. Maybe it turns into Ted Hurst, right? So this is a guy who's going to be a good football player for you. He's going to play on this offensive line. He's going to be a quality starter. The big question is where. That's the thing with Spencer Fano. The big question is, where does he play? All right, so Monken in the press conference confirmed that he's going to be playing left tackle. So again, can he hold up there? The Browns have a hole at left tackle. Can he hold up there? That's the biggest question. This could work out tremendously. He could be Rashad Slater, a Pro Bowl tackle. We don't talk about the position for a long time, and we feel awesome about where the Browns are. This could also be Will Campbell. We're like, hey, I like the prospect, but man, I feel like he's in the wrong position. That's kind of the predicament here with Spencer Fano. I'm going to try not to speculate too much in this video about 24, just because by the time you watch this, it's possible that the Browns have made a selection at 24, if that's where they end up picking. Let me see. Yeah, this is also like, if you're a Browns fan, this is absolutely it kind of reminds me of the Mason Graham pick last year, where it's like, you got a good football player, right? You can argue whether the positional value matched up to where he is. You could argue whether they should have took a swing on somebody who played a more valuable position in your eyes, even though I think defensive tackle is super valuable. Right now, we're talking about a guy who could play left tackle, but might have to play guard later in his career, right? But I think the thing that you can't debate with Spencer Fano is that he's a good player, right? This doesn't have as much blow up in your face potential as Monroe Freeling. This doesn't have as much blow up in your face potential as, Carnell Taylor Jordan Tyson did. This doesn't have as much blow up in your face potential as a lot of other picks that the Cleveland Browns could have made. Again, it's a very safe selection. We know Spencer Fano is going to be a good football player. That's not the question. I'm not concerned about Spencer Fano's ability to play football. The big question here with Spencer is, can he play left tackle? Can he stay out there? Will he survive on an island when he doesn't have extreme length to lean on, when he's not going to be more powerful than guys, right? He's a good football player, though, right? And if he does figure it out, if he is capable of playing left tackle, then you're going to be very happy with that pick. We can overthink the draft a lot. We tend to overthink the draft a lot. And we think, we need to get this to be happy. The reality with the draft is simple. If you draft a good football player, you will be happy with the player that you took in the draft. You're not going to look back and worry about positional value. You're not going to look back and say, this class is deep. We could have got this guy at 12. If you draft a good football player, you're going to be happy with the selection that you made, because that's the goal, right? We could talk about filling positions and all this other stuff and all this crap that we argue about when it comes to the draft and, you need to draft for need and all this stuff. But you can't fill a need if the player's not good, right? If Spencer Fano is good at left tackle, then he fills the need of left tackle and we're good. If Spencer Fano is not a good left tackle, then we didn't fill the need at left tackle and then we're upset. The player has to be good. And if you draft a good player, you're going to be happy with what you get. Caleb Downs just went to Dallas, I think. So that's kind of my 2 cents on this pick. Let me know what your 2 cents are on this one. But I like it. I think they could have been a little bit more ambitious, maybe a little bit more aggressive here. Monroe Freeling was on the board. Noah's back seems to be scaring teams off, so I'm not going to fault them for that one as of right now. But, yeah, this is a safe selection. They wanted to get a good football player, and when the Browns' offensive line is coming from the situation that it is, I can understand wanting to get somebody who played a lot of games and they know is good, right? Now, he's going to have to transition from right to left tackle. He's going to have to do that transition with not the best measurables at the position, but his tape is really good at Utah. Can't wait to get into it, do a film breakdown, and talk about Spencer Fano as a Cleveland Brown as we get in. So make sure you're locked in and subscribed and notified to this channel. What do you think about Decker at left tackle? Fano can then be placed in the best left tackle, put him in. If you draft Spencer Fano at 9, that's because you want him to play left tackle. So let him play left tackle. Let's see if he can live out there, right? Give him a chance, right? We'll see what happens. I have my concerns most certainly, but hey, I could be wrong. I've been wrong on players' ability to play certain positions before. I'll be glad to be wrong on this one. But I do have my concerns about Fano at tackle for sure.